Hello guys, and welcome back to my channel. It's Shannon Oliviaa on your screen, bitch. If you're new here, hit subscribe. Come on, man. And guys, if you're watching these videos, I need you to engage, comment, drop me a line. Let's network. Let's get you connecting with other people that are like you and just having all of this beautifulness. Let's get a sense of community up in this bitch. Do you know what I'm saying? Let's do it, okay? Like, comment, share, do a thing. Today I wanted to talk to you guys about mental health awareness and just mental health in general. And I was thinking, how is the best way for me to articulate what I know and what I've learned and experienced over the few years, so I can obviously drop some gems for you guys. So I thought, let's go back to the beginning. Oh God, how old was I? God, about 7 years ago. How old was I 7 years ago? Yeah, about 7 years ago, so I was 18. I was working at Girl Wellning. Yeah, I was the chef in my bandana, do you know what I mean? I was chefing up and frying all the shit food for your children. And I was making you lot coffees. Like, I was doing them things, yeah. And basically, I had this experience with someone a couple of weeks before this day at work, right? And I basically slept with a baby dad. He told me he was single, apparently he wasn't. I nearly ended up fighting this girl in a car park, and there was just like loads of beef online, going back and forth, whatever. I'm working this day, yeah, and I'm like, 1 second, because I'm behind like the counter, I can't like see who's at the thing. I pop over to the counter, yeah, and it's this bitch, right? And I'm thinking, my place at work, really? I can't smash you up here because it's gonna fuck with my livelihood, right? Like, the queue was fucking, I was trying to like chef up for like some kids' birthday parties. I was trying to like serve all the people that are in the fucking queue that are wanting coffees and rah-ta-ta. And like, I'm standing there, yeah, and like I wasn't in a great place mentally anyway, but I wasn't really aware that I wasn't. And I'm trying to make someone's coffee, and I just stopped everything. I went to my manager's office and I was like, I am about to have a mental breakdown. And they were like, oh, you're overreacting, you know, you're probably just a bit tired, like go take a rest, like Jess will cover you. Okay, cool. I get into the staff room, yeah. This was the first time I ever experienced a panic attack, and it was by far the worst panic attack I've ever had. And basically, like, I couldn't organise my thoughts, like everything was just fucking jumbling in my head, like I just couldn't think, and it was scary, man. Like, to think that you can't think is fucked up. Do you know what I mean? Like, I was literally thinking so much that nothing in my head was actually making sense, and I was like, I don't know what to do. And like, I couldn't calm down. I started hyperventilating, and the next thing you know, my arms are fucking blue. Like, I'm literally seized up in it. I'm like this, like trying to fuck. It was fucking horrible, yeah. Like, I wouldn't wish it on anyone. Like, to not feel that safety and trust within yourself, like, fuck me, man. It's not a nice place to be. It's really not. Like, an ambulance was called, like I had to fucking get my mum. Like, it was just a madness. And like, although this incident at work is what prompted the panic attack, that's not actually what caused it. I actually broke up from my long-term partner a couple of months before that, and our relationship was it was my first like long-term boyfriend. Like, it was very like a codependent. It was toxic. Like, we used to get on drugs all the time together. Like, it was just mad, and a lot of my identity was reliant on my partner. So then not having obviously him anymore, like, it was weird for me. Like, I was trying to still discover who I was without obviously being with him anymore. And I stopped taking like all the drugs, and it was basically like this build up. Like, when I reflect back, it was just this whole build up of me not dealing with any of the trauma or the shit that I'd encountered. And a lot of the trauma that I have experienced has been to do around sex. So then it was just like, obviously I slept with the girl's baby dad. Like, it was like a trigger point. But back then it was hard for me to determine. Like, I couldn't identify, do you know what I mean, those spots. So it was fucking really difficult. Like, I went to therapy, and she was amazing. Like, she was really good, and she helped me like deal with some stuff. And then ever since then, I've just dipped in and out of phases of being very anxious, of phases where I'm depressed. Like, I'm a very sensitive person, and if I'm constantly on the go and constantly doing things and not giving myself the time that I need to just wind down, reflect, relax, the tension builds up so much in my body that it will force me to rest, which is why my anxiety gets bad. It's why my depression comes. So this was kind of really the starting point, I would say, of my spiritual journey. The reason I love spirituality is because it's brought me back home. It's brought me back to myself. It's made me analyze my environments in a way that I can now identify whether a relationship is serving me or not. And I feel like before I wasn't doing that. It was more like, you've been my friend for so long, so like, you know, I owe you my friendship. And in any fucking relationship and in any case, that's never how it should be. So like, you know, I had to do this whole process of, you know, removing friends that all they done was gossip and like be fake to each other. So I just thought, you're just not good for me. Do you know what I mean? You're really not. Like, when I'm not inspired by any of you and what you're doing. Do you know what I mean? So obviously it was like cutting the friends off, and then it was like, okay, I need to spend time alone with myself. And that's when I started to like delve in with like my meditations, and I started like getting into yoga, because I realized that so much, like, I didn't actually understand me or know who I was as me. You know, everything that I was doing and everything that I was operating from was like my parents' expectations, my school's expectations of me, keeping up like appearances in the friendship groups that I'm in as the funny, loud one that's bubbly, centre of the party. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I got to a point where I was like, I don't associate with any of those things anymore. Like, none of those things are me. Like, they're not. So the last few years have basically been me like phasing all of that shit out. Not in a way where I'm not going out and having fun and drinking with my friends and having a good time. Like, obviously I still do that. I'm just not doing it every weekend, because that's not good for my mental health. It's not good for my mental health, point blank period. Like, if you want to be social and have fun with your friends, there's so many ways to do it apart from going out, taking drugs and like getting drunk. That just doesn't serve me as a person. And for a long time, I thought my whole identity was that. So it was hard to, you know, separate the two. But like, I fucking love it now. Like, I don't get FOMO. When people are out having a good time, I'm like, great, I'm tucked up in bed, glass of wine in the zoo, and I'm like, yeah, just doing me, hun. And like, I'm an absorber, do you know what I mean? Like, I absorb so many people's shit, so it's like, if I'm around scatty, no offense, bummy people, like, you're gonna be scatty and you're gonna be bummy. Do you know what I'm saying? For me, it was just about realigning with myself. And ever since I have realigned with myself, so that's me taking a step back and being like, what the fuck is it that I value in life? What is it? Because you know when someone asks you that, like, there are people just like, you know, family, yeah, but what is it about family? Do you know what I mean? Like, I had to get down to the specifics. What brings me joy? What do I need to keep doing to maintain my happiness? Yeah. And it's daily fucking practice. Like, it is. I meditate every day without a fucking doubt. Maybe 3 times a day sometimes, depending on my mood. I'm yogaing. I'm a yogi bitch. I do that shit like 4 or 5 times a week, maybe more than that. Like, I cycle. Like, there's so many things that I do now that don't involve other people. Like, it's basically me gaining my independence. And since I gained my independence and stopped placing so much value on my external influences, I've been able to pull all that energy back into me. So do I still get anxious? Yeah, like I do. Like, certain situations, you know, fear of the unknown, I do get anxiety, but I say I get anxiety over the situation. I wouldn't say that I'm an anxious person anymore. Especially meditation has helped me to slow down my thoughts, you know what I mean? To observe them rather than holding so much value in them. Just because a thought comes doesn't mean you have to pay attention to it. So it was very much me understanding my mental, understanding my like neuro programming, basically, like how everything in my system works, because everything is interrelated. I have to find avenues now where I am feeding my creative, but I'm also resting. And ever since I've actually taken the time to really delve into like science and, you know, quantum physics and different forms of spirituality, like learning about like Hinduism, Buddhism, and Taoism, like learning about all these different ancient concepts has really helped me understand myself as a whole fucking being. And before, like, I had no clue. Like, I literally had no clue. And I do feel like when you are an anxious person, like, obviously it is your mental, it is your psyche, yeah? So in order to stop being so anxious, you have to reprogram yourself, and that's not a fucking easy thing to do. That's going back and removing your triggers, and to remove your triggers, you have to revisit your trauma, and to revisit your trauma, you have to live that shit again, and it's experiencing those emotions again, and then figuring out new routes to new associations, shall I say. So rather than associate it as something that was a bad experience, what did you learn from that experience? How has that helped me progress? Holding yourself with compassion. Stop judging and overly critiquing yourself. That is going to do nothing for you at all. Like, there was just so many things that I had to incorporate into my day-to-day life that actually enabled me to be the woman that I am today. And it's still a learn in progress. Like, everyone thinks that, you know, once you're over it, you're just over it. Like, no, like, it's not. It's a daily fucking practice. Like, it is something that I could think I've healed over something that's happened 2-3 years ago, and then something happens and it will trigger me again, and I'll be like, oh, so maybe I haven't dealt with that, like, properly. Do you know what I mean? Why has that triggered me today? Am I just having a low day, or is there something that has actually been unresolved and I thought I've resolved it? Having that self-awareness, which is, do you know what? That's it. Self-awareness. When I had no self-awareness, I just didn't know, like, how I operated. Do you know what I mean? That was when I was my most anxious and my most depressed, because I wasn't operating through true authenticity. I was operating through these fucking conditioned paradigms that had been fed to me since I was a child. But when I actually took some fucking responsibility and accountability and was like, oh, that's not the narrative I'm spinning myself anymore. That's not the story I'm going to tell myself, because that's not how I want to live the rest of my fucking life. As soon as I started making those big fucking leaps, it's a brave thing to do, man. It's fucking tough. Like, I don't care what anyone says, man. You can sit there and be like, oh yes, tree huggers, fairies, rah-ta-ta. You don't fuck with a spiritual bitch. I'm sorry, you fucking don't. These women and these men, yeah, have fucking ground themselves down. And when I say ground themselves down, I mean, like, there's nothing you can say or do that is going to put them in a worse position that they've never put themselves in, or that they've put themselves in. Like, I know there's nothing that anyone can say to me or do to me that will make me feel as shit as I've previously made myself feel. Do you know what I mean? Like, I was my harshest critic, and it was like detrimental to my health and my well-being. So when it comes to your mental fucking health, guys, I swear to God, like, you need to build self-awareness. What triggers you? Why does it trigger you? How can you work around your view of that? You know, rather than seeing it as a negative, how has that situation actually provided you with a positive? What have you learned from that? Recondition your fucking brain. Understand your fucking frequencies. Like, when we are operating from, like, you know, depression, anger, frustration, like, we're emitting a low frequency, yeah? Especially if you're into manifesting, you ain't gonna manifest shit if you are an angry, bitter person. You're not. Do you know what I mean? Your frequency is low. In order to attract good things, you need to be in good vibrations, which means love, gratitude, compassion. Life isn't meant to be about suffering. Do you know what I mean? Yes, we're supposed to endure pain, but our whole life isn't meant to be a fucking form of suffering. And it's fucking sad that we see so many people settling for that. But we deserve so much more, and you can have so much more. But it's just about removing that conditioning and that mind frame that has kept you in the situation that you're in. You have to start feeding yourself new things. You have to start reading. I can't explain to you how much reading has helped me. Like, before I was about 21, I'd never, like, finished a full book. Like, even in school, like, I'd skim. Do you know what I mean? I'm good at blagging, so, like, English wasn't a thing. I'd skim things. I wouldn't proper read. I think last year I read 8 books, and that's the most books I've ever read in a year. And I wouldn't even say that's that great. Like, if anything, I'd want to read like a book a month. I don't have the capacity to do that right now. But reading and just educating yourself, yeah, rather than sitting there watching fucking Married at First Sight, Love Island and all that shit, fucking go onto YouTube and find some people that are talking about the issues that you may be fucking facing right now. Learn, develop yourself, find good books, find good influencers, find good coaches and follow them. Your mental health is yours to fucking deal with. You can't place that responsibility on anyone, yeah? And the more you fucking try and push that out, the worse your mental health will be. It's hard to take accountability. It's hard to take responsibility. Like, trust me, I'm someone that struggles with responsibility, innit? Like, in some ways I fucking love it. In some ways I absolutely hate it. So for me to actually be like, yo, I need to be doing this for me now, it was, like, so pivotal in my journey. And I feel like if we all just stopped listening to what everyone else was fucking saying all the time and actually decided to sit with ourselves and actually understand ourselves, like, the world would be a nicer place. We are all really in this together, innit? Like, if we want to live happy and fulfilled lives, we need to be connecting with people that make us feel that way and, you know, invoke that light in us. You know, and people that don't, because the people that, you know, bring out the darkness in us, there's always a lesson there. But there's so much that we can be doing to make sure that, like, our mental health is in a good fucking place. It's the usual shit. It's the usual shit that people know but they don't want to do. Meditate, daily exercise, read, eat good food that actually nourishes you and gives you fucking proper electrolytes and shit. If overcoming anxiety, if overcoming depression is what you want to do, I know I can understand, like, the whole taking responsibility and accountability. Like it's like, it's so scary. But that's what therapists are for. That's what your community's for. Is to share that load. Do you know what I mean? To actually feel safe and protected, not just within yourself, but, you know, knowing that you've got people that you can rely on. And I know a lot of people don't have that, but there are therapies and there are, you know, associations out there that will provide you that sense of community and that sense of support. So it's really about, just, if you really want to fucking change something, you have to start doing things differently. So if it does mean going to a counselling session, if it does mean, you know, entering a new forum on Facebook where there's people that have experienced the same shit you have, so you can, you know, start relating and discussing those things with people. There's so many avenues you can do. And if you are feeling low, like, you lot know I'm always here. Do you know what I mean? My Instagram's in the description. I am on that the most, so definitely hit me up on there. I'm happy to have discussions. I'm happy to hear what you have to say, and, you know, just be an ear to listen to you. Like, I'm always going to be that person. So I hope you liked the video, guys. If you did, please share, comment, do a ting, and hopefully I will see you soon. Bye.